When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/campaign to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be. To be.
Vienna, Virginia, what is good? It is a delight to be here. I know I branded the show as the DC show, but don't worry. I know I'm here in Virginia. To pay homage to the state of Virginia, I have cosplayed as your state flag, where you got the person in light blue stepping on the person in purple on the flag. I even went with like a red and green sock thing for like the wreaths around. I put a lot of thought into it. I'm very excited to be here, but I did want to brand it as the DC show because I didn't want people in Austria to be confused. I don't want them to be like, we're here at Yamen Yava. But I am very excited for this show tonight. There's a bunch of you here, which is very cool. Thank you so much for coming out to the show. This is wild. What we are going to be discussing today is a very interesting book that I knew was part of the extended PJO universe, and until I opened the flap, I learned, not written by Rick Riordan. So we're gonna have a fun night discussing Percy Jackson, The Ultimate Guide. But in order to have this discussion, we have to have our guest. So I'm very excited to have someone who has been on the show from the very early ages of TNO. Please give it up for the DMV's own Delia Galapagos. Hello, hello. Thank you, thank you.
Hi, everyone.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Glad to be all the way out here in Vienna, which is not DC.
Look, I just wanted to make sure that people from DC came. We had a DC show lined up, and then the venue went out of business.
Oh, man.
So this was the replacement, but I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to talk about this strange book. Besides getting ready for the show, you had not read it, right? So this was your first reading experience.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Experience is a good way to put it,
actually.
Yeah.
So just to get a show of hands, how many people had read it before?
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
Did anyone read it just in prep for the show? Whoa.
Okay.
And who here is like, I don't know what we're about to talk about for 2 hours? Cool. An even split. This will be great. I'm very, very excited. So it's a time. It's going to be fun. So what we've got here is Percy Jackson, The Ultimate Guide. And first and foremost, the flap on it. Delia will also be our visual representative.
Look at that.
You're going to be, who's the girl from?
Vienna, or no, not Vanna White.
Vanna White, thank you. Or, yeah, I guess for this show, Vienna White.
Vienna White.
And we'll be showing off all the things because the images are wild. For podcast people at home, I apologize, but I will do my best to describe all of the images and stuff. I will say first and foremost about this book, the flap rules. There's a magnetic flap on the outside. Functionally does nothing.
No.
Actively makes it more challenging to read.
It does.
Like when you were reading it, I was like flapping and like putting all the pages in front of it. How were you doing it? I had a weird time with the flap.
Yeah, no, I kept reading it and I would like use it as my bookmark. Just like Ta-da.
Yeah, it's a good little thing. It's cool. I don't know what the purpose of it is, but I enjoy the vibes of it. The texture of the outside cover is fun, and then they have the reflective images on the front. Now,
I don't know if you can see that.
There are 4 total boxes, and in one orientation, I guess the main orientation, you have Percy Jackson, makes sense, Poseidon, makes sense, Ares, makes sense, and Zeus, makes sense. If you flip it the upside, you get Campe, Morpheus, Grover, and Athena. You know, the second most important group of 4.
Literally only Grover should be on this cover. Like, only.
Annabeth? Never heard of her.
No.
So Morpheus, he gets a lot of play in this book.
He does. Like, why?
But he looks great, but I don't understand why he's there. Also on the inside cover, you do get trading cards.
You see.
There's a bunch of trading cards, and there are some that make more sense than others. What I do find interesting is the one that you've grabbed, which is the Luke card, which looks identical to Draco Malfoy.
It does. Just Draco with a little scar.
Yeah, Draco with a scar and a sword instead of a wand. Now, Luke shows up as a trading card. He's not in the book anywhere else, right? I didn't miss it. I didn't miss the Luke page.
No. There is no Luke, which is, no. I think maybe they mentioned that he is, like, maybe when we're going over the...
He gets, like, mentioned in paragraphs, but I don't think there's a Luke page.
Oh, no, there's no Luke
I don't think there's a Luke picture.
Nope.
There's no Luke segment.
No.
He's kind of important.
Just a little. Just
a little bit. Now, this book was written by, not Rick Riordan. It was written by Mary Jane Knight in 2009. So I believe after all the books had been completed, she wrote this. It's like this weird thing on the info page where it's like made by a British publishing company, but then it's still somehow Disney Books based in the US. I don't know how publishing works, but I will not feel as bad making fun of this book. Because Rick won't be offended.
Are you sure it's not the favorite installment in the whole of the canon?
It makes me want to ask him about it. Like, it makes me want to be like, Rick, what are your thoughts on The Ultimate Guide? And he'll probably be like, the what?
Yeah.
Now, our first segment in The Ultimate Guide is Percy Jackson. That makes sense. He's the main character. I like there's people who've brought their books and reading along. This is great.
Wow. Look at that.
It's a book club, everybody. The art is like the old weird art that I've already made fun of in episodes and stuff.
Whatever. It's
I'm sure the person who did it is very nice. And we'll leave it at that. Percy Jackson does catch shade in the first sentence of his own Ultimate Guide. It says, quote, Percy Jackson is far from average, even if his grades are. And then in parentheses, well, technically they are below average. Wow!
Yeah, no, they were not pulling not a single punch. And it's like, is it called Percy Jackson and the Olympians? I could have sworn, but the book doesn't know it.
No, apparently it's called Some Idiot and the Olympians. Absolutely vicious. And then you get like a little mini recap of Percy's whole deal. You get a statistics page, which just kind of lists like hair, eye color, stuff like that. It does mention that his favorite drink is Coke and nectar, which is 2 things.
Right.
It also did make me think, though, is this some, like, cocktail?
That's what I was like, is it rum and Coke? Like, what?
Oh, I'll have a Coke and nectar, please. Not too much, or otherwise my eyes will boil. It lists his friends as Grover, Annabeth, Tyson, and Mrs. O'Leary. Thalia, nowhere to be found.
Nope.
It lists his enemies as Kronos, Mrs. Dodds, and Smelly Gabe. Feel like there might be one missing. At least.
There's at
least one. At least one missing. There are some other people along the way, like, sure, Krusty didn't make the cut, but I feel like a little blonde boy should be there. Not there. There's then a Chiron quote about the whole Western civilization with a picture of New York in the background. There's a little bit of info about Mount Olympus. There's then details about Sally with a newspaper clipping and a note. And this is what I was excited about, like stuff that wasn't in the books.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this kind of thing is very rare in Percy Jackson, The Ultimate Guide. It's a lot of recapping things you already know. But this little clipping of the newspaper says, quote, Mystery Plane Crash Orphan's Child. That is the headline. And apparently Sally is an orphan, and her parents died in a New York plane crash when she was 5. Her neighbors are quoted as saying that the Jacksons were very kind, and the newspaper says that Sally will be staying with her uncle for the time being. Was this anywhere in the books? Or is this... Okay. First book. Cool. Great. Didn't know it. It was new to me. I forgot. But then it does have that letter next to it. And in that letter that's next to the newspaper clipping, it's written by someone named Uncle Rich. Is this the origins of Uncle Rick?
That I have no idea. But I'm like, is this a typo? That's what I was wondering. I was like, are we connecting or no? Is this just a coincidence? What are we doing here?
I did get an email recently to the TNO Gmail that was called The Origins of Uncle Rick. I should open it. I was very busy. But I should open that and see. Maybe I'll do that during intermission if I remember. Now, this note, unfortunately, is very sad. It's a sad note asking Sally if she could take a break from college for a bit, even though she's been thriving in school, to help pay for his bills because his insurance has run out. I did remember this happening. Now, maybe that was connected to the gone parents. But he then says that he has no one else that he can ask, and she is his only hope. Very sweet, very sad, heartfelt. There is then information on Sally raising Percy alone. There's information on Smelly Gabe with a cool picture of pepperoni pizza. Don't know why, but they got that Getty Images Shuttershock pizza.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like particularly good pizza, honestly.
It's like middle school cafeteria.
Yeah.
Middle school that is not in New York cafeteria. Like, it's a tough.
Right. Actually, it's definitely not even of anywhere of quality pizza.
It's a tough look and slice. I wouldn't want to eat it, but that's there. And then it describes Smelly Gabe as smelling like moldy garlic pizza wrapped in gym shorts, which I feel like gets the point across. It then recaps the scary things that happened to Percy at a young age, such as the snake attack while napping at the nursery. There's a big picture of a snake. When I was reading this, Kelly was like, what? There's then a story about the Cyclops wearing a trench coat on the 3rd grade playground. Was that in the books? Did I forget that one? Okay, cool. Granted, it was 2 years ago.
It's been a long process.
Long time ago. And then it lists all the different ways that he got expelled from his other schools. Then we get, and I loved this, Percy Jackson's report card. It's scathing. He's not going to get a lot of Chuck E. Cheese tokens. His report card does not list what school it's from. It does not list what grade he's in. It's just a report card.
No teachers, no nothing.
Nothing. Just straight up, everyone just demolishes him, basically. English, F. Must try harder is the title of this review. Consistently fails to complete reading assignments when writing, has difficulty expressing himself clearly, has only a notional grasp of spelling, and the legibility of his handwriting leaves a great deal to be desired.
Which, what grade is this? I have so many questions.
I would guess it's later in his career. To comment on handwriting, bizarre.
So bizarre.
I had penmanship class in kindergarten. I did not do well in it. But I feel like from then on, my penmanship was never graded.
Yeah, no, I have dyspraxia. So my handwriting's very inconsistent, but I've never had a teacher in a report card be like, hey, you write awfully.
Yeah, this was really rough from the English teacher. Then we get the math teacher. C, pay attention in class, is the title of this one. Has mastered basic arithmetic, but lacks the interest and the concentration to progress in his subject. You know what? Fair. That seems the most normal of all the reviews. Here's one that I find interesting, though. This is history. He gets a D. The subject line of this one is more effort. Often tries in history class. I'm sorry, the title of this review is more effort? Often tries. Nope.
But
often
not enough.
Tries in history class, but is hindered by his inability to concentrate for more than a few minutes at a time. Hey, anyone know that this kid has ADHD? I feel like they should all know this. He made a good attempt at describing some Civil War events, but a little more historical analysis and a little less battlefield gore would be appropriate. It does not feel like effort is the problem.
Yeah, no, it sounds like he's very interested in history, just not in the way that you want. Which honestly, when I was reading this, I was so confused. I'm like, Rick, why would he would never? But this makes so much sense because I didn't know till this show that, it wasn't even looked at by Rick, much less written by him. This makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm sure Rick got the checks and was like, cool, yeah, a guide? Yeah.
Why not?
I gotta go write an Egypt book now. So the final one is science. He got a B-, and it says must control himself. Now, I like the science teacher. Here's the review. Excels at practical experiments, but should refrain from blowing up labs and igniting teachers' hair. You know what?
That's fair.
That rules. He's still got a B-. Rules. Not vindictive. Hair got lit on fire by Percy. He's like, B-.
This is definitely a science teacher that's like, yo, I get it. It's really fun. Science is fun, but I can't let you do that.
Yeah, I really like this teacher. He's cool. We then get into the description of the Met field trip. They explain the characters there, like Nancy Bobbitt and what happened, explains the whole Furies thing, saying that they were sisters, and it goes a little more into detail about them, saying Alecto is the angry one, Tisiphone is the avenger, and Megara is the grudging one. Or, if you're playing Hades the video game, the hot one. Or if you're playing Hades the video game, everyone's the hot one. Then they describe the fates. Clotho, who spins the thread of life. Clotho! That feels like someone guessing at what the Spanish word for cloth is.
Yeah. It's not great.
Not ideal. Then Lachesis, which probably I butchered, and that one allots the length of the yarn. And then Atropos snips and decides when life will end. And then we have an image of the Great Prophecy, and that ends section 1. We then get into section 2, which is called Life at Camp. We have another map, and it's very similar to the Demigods Files map, which is pretty cool. It's big, there's a lot of detail. Something that I enjoy is that we have some additions, like Zeus's fist, the showers and the toilets, where he became the Supreme Lord of the bathroom. There's a huge image of a satyr that takes up like 10% of the map, like a really big.
To be like to scale, because like, what are we? Why is he so big? Like, it seems like so intentional, because everything else on here is very small. Well, I guess the Pegasus stable is fine, whatever. Yeah. But like, the satyr's just having a good time on his little pan flute, and is the size of the big house. Really big,
really big. Something that I did not enjoy, however, is that they have the volleyball courts and no mention of the basketball courts, which I know exists because they talk about them in the book. And I feel like I'm being gaslit by the extra books that keep coming out. And they'll be like, yeah, volleyball is what they play. Like, I know they play basketball. I know they do it, right? They also correctly have the cabins in the shape of a U this time, which I don't think was the case in the Demigod Files one. I think they were just in 2 rows, so I like this. Then there is, after the map, a recap about dreams that Percy will have. There's a recap of the Minotaur fight. There's a description of Theseus and the Minotaur. And about the Minotaur, it says that the Minotaur is the son of King Minos' wife and a bull sent to Minos by Poseidon. It really glosses over the fact...
Thank you.
I was like, yeah, the Minotaur. It was from the Queen and a bull. Anyway, the Minotaur.
It really was like, this is super normal. And I was trying to imagine throughout this book, like, who is this book for? Because if it's for kids, I get the idea that, like, we cannot go into these details, but, like, maybe don't mention it then. I don't know. Like, it didn't seem like it needed to be highlighted because it really just begs a lot of questions.
When a bull and a wife of a king love each other very much.
Very, very much.
So then it says that Minos asked Daedalus to build a maze to imprison it, and each year he fed the beast 7 young men and 7 girls sent from Athens. Not ideal. I didn't remember this being described, but that's that. So one year, Theseus, son of the king of Athens, said, I don't like this. So he went to Crete and vowed to kill it. Good on you. Minos' daughter, Ariadne, fell in love with Theseus and gave him the string to help him escape the labyrinth after killing the monster. Then there's a picture of Smelly Gabe's destroyed car. It is certainly not a Camaro. I guess they didn't get the licensing rights from Chevy, but it's just some other car. We then move on to section 3, which is called 10 Signs You Might Be a Half-Blood. And I was wondering if it was going to be like, what is it, Larry the Cable Guy is like, you might be a half-blood if your cousin is also your girlfriend.
You might be a half-blood.
Which, like, weirdly, a lot of crossover between...
Yeah, honestly...
Larry the Cable Guy jokes and Greek mythology jokes.
It's actually, no, that's super accurate.
Now, they have actual things. They say you might be a half-blood if you suspect one of your teachers is not a human. And about this, it says, quote, in itself, this proves nothing, as many teachers are some form of monster in disguise. Do watch out for teachers with an unnatural interest in torturing you, though.
Yeah, I would... That's not a demigod thing. If your teachers are torturing you, probably tell an adult.
Right, yeah. Tell Headmaster Dumbledore that your potions professor is beefing with you because you look like your mom. Then they continue on about you might be a demigod if you've been tested for and diagnosed with ADHD. Same thing, but with dyslexia. They say, or if odd events have occurred that you cannot explain. Examples: adults acting weird and then denying that it ever took place. That might just be people.
Yeah, I'm like, if adults are gaslighting you, you might be a demigod. Well...
They also say, or if a demon attacks your school bus, or if you have an unexpected lab explosion. They also say you often experience deja vu. The explanation is that half-bloods experience time differently than ordinary humans. Is that a thing? I feel like that didn't come up in the books.
I feel like they hinted at it a lot, but like that was never explicitly said. So I'm like, did this person, now that I know it's not written by Rick, this makes a lot of sense. Like, are they just conjecturing?
Yeah, what they explain is that they say that time will slow down if an attack approaches or when doing math problems, or that time could speed up when escaping hellhounds or playing capture the flag. I understand the time slowing down thing because of the battle instincts, but I don't remember them ever talking about like time feeling like it was going faster.
No.
Percy does like struggle to keep track of days and stuff, but I don't know if that's like demigod thing or just like he's 13
it's
and
an ADHD
saving
thing.
the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, they continue on saying, at times it seems unlikely that your father or mother is really your parent. Okay?
Yeah.
Cool. So, Jesus Christ, a demigod?
Yep. Demigod confirmed.
And then it says, quote, it could be that your parent is embarrassed to admit that they had a relationship with a god, although this behavior is not technically illegal, except in Mississippi.
I was like, what is going on in Mississippi? What are the gods getting up to down there?
It's just weird. And it like, I get the kind of joke that they're trying to make, but it feels like the opposite of the joke that they're trying to make.
Yes, yeah.
Where like, instead of being like, well, anything goes in Mississippi, they're more like, Mississippi's the one state that made it illegal? Mississippi?
No, like Mississippi, this is what I thought. I was like, oh, so Mississippi is so racist. They're like great God beings. No, we don't do that. We don't mix like that around here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
I'm from Texas. I could say that.
It continues, one of your friends doesn't seem quite normal. I think this is unfair to nerds where all of your friends are not normal. I'm one of you, don't worry. It basically says that if you have a friend that seems very strange, you may have found the school satyr. They go on saying, when you are alone, you have this strange sensation of being watched or followed, although no one is there. You could be a hypersensitive mortal or a demigod being followed by a monster. Goes on saying your dreams are different from those of your friends, and you seem to be able to control what happens in them, or you experience a particularly vivid recurring dream. It then mentions that demigods can switch an unpleasant dream that they are having about monsters to an enjoyable one about Elysium. And I feel like someone should tell Percy Jackson about this, because I don't think he ever does that.
No one ever told him.
Continuing, it says you suffer from irrational fears or phobias. For example, being afraid of heights, water, the dark, or spiders, which are 4 super normal things to
the
be
way
afraid
they
of.
said, they were like, oh, this is a very strange thing to be afraid of. And I was like, okay, so I guess I'm a demigod. Oh my God.
It says that demigod kids hate what their godly parents hate. So that could be your irrational fear. Then I was not expecting this, but the next page says results.
Yeah.
And I said, results? What is this, a Cosmo quiz? And it is! Of these statements, if you agreed with 8 or more of them, you are a demigod. If you agreed with 5 to 7, you are a borderline risk, meaning that there might be some Olympian blood in your family, or you might be the child of a minor god. 3 to 4, you're probably not a half-blood. You may just have an overactive imagination. And 0 to 2, for sure you're immortal. Don't worry about it. And if it was, between 7 and 8, you should wear this type of bikini to the beach to impress Chad. There are then notes on Chiron, centaurs, and Pegasi. In the Pegasi section, it says that the first Pegasi sprung from the neck of the Gorgon slain by Perseus. It was the son of Gorgon and Poseidon. Again, they just gloss over that one pretty quickly. And then it says a spring would form wherever that Pegasus would strike the ground with its hoof. It then mentions that Blackjack has the wings of a raven, which makes sense based on one of the covers that I saw, which was definitely just like Photoshop. They were like, bird, horse, this is the cover of the 3rd book now. You then get a picture of the cabins, which is pretty cool. Like the vibes of the cabins are pretty solid in this one. So I enjoyed the little image there. And then going along with the theme of that, the next section is called Meet the Campers. We have Annabeth, and what's funny about this one, they just kind of like describe all of their, what they look like, personality, stuff like that. For Annabeth, it says she has blonde curly hair, and they got the big picture of her next to her where she has straight hair. This is also the picture that I've made fun of in the past where she looks like she is a 40-year-old woman on the body of an 8-year-old. It's alarming. I find the image very unsettling.
It's giving like uncanny valley like AI does.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, no offense, but kind of.
It also feels like she should be on Real Housewives of Long Island, where she's like, I don't know, if you're boring, you'll be invisible to me, and then puts the hat on. I don't know, something sassy in the intro. It's just, I don't like the Annabeth image, so we'll move on. I guess there is a Luke section in here. Sure is. There's like a minor one.
It's so forgettable, though.
I did just write in here just the note. I thought it was interesting that they did use past tense for Luke, Beckendorf, and Selena, and then present tense for all the other ones.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, the book was like, hey, remember that they died?
So I guess it's like... Definitely hope you read all the books in case you got this for Christmas or something, because you're going to be like, what's that about? What's that was about? Because it definitely does. I didn't even notice.
Right. And we were saying this backstage that I feel like this book exudes big Scholastic Book Fair energy.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
And if you had read this first before reading the books, that would be bad. There's like loads of spoilers in there. Loads of spoilers.
I think the only thing it doesn't spoil is luckily, like the end of the last book, I think.
Yeah, because
I noticed.
Being written in 2009, that's like about when the last one was coming out. So
Yeah.
maybe it was like in between, something like that. I don't know. Connorstool is mentioned as being canonically shorter than Travis, which I think is a cool fun fact, and I feel like should show up in Percy Jackson trivia. Thalia is described as a word maybe I just don't have as good of a vocabulary, even though I took Latin in high school. She's described as lithe?
Lithe.
Okay, didn't know lithe, but that means graceful, in case anybody else didn't know. But here's where I was very excited. We get into the next section of what I would say people we don't care that much about. Because they just have people, and this is like the full description of these people. I'm not shortening them. This is like what they say. Lee Fletcher, son of Apollo. Katie Gardner, daughter of Demeter, goddess of agriculture. Jake Mason, son of Hephaestus. Castor and Pollux, twin sons of Dionysus. Will Solace, son of Apollo, and a healer. And I think Michael Yu is in there where they're like, scowls a lot. So they have like some people with a little bit more. But it did make me really happy that Lee Fletcher had no description. We then get onto a subsection called Camp Characters. It mentions the Oracle, and then it does have an image next to the Oracle. Does not look like a mummy at all.
No.
Not a mummy. Zero mummy vibes.
It doesn't even, because sometimes it'll point and be like, this is Luke. He's not in here. But if he was that, it would say that. But this doesn't have an arrow, so I was like, is this... I sat for a minute. I was like, is this supposed to be the Oracle? And then I went on to the other characters that it goes on. I'm like, well, it can't be any of them, so I guess?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the Oracle, I guess. Doesn't look like a mummy.
No.
Grover, though, on the next picture. Huge picture of Grover. People have made fun of this one like since before I released episode 1.
I hate it so much.
It's pretty bad. The Rasta cap, not ideal. What I didn't notice, because I've seen this image a lot, it's in some other stuff, I've seen it. What I didn't notice until this very large image, the arm hair, alarming.
Yeah, it's
alarm hair, if you will. It's bad.
Alarm hair.
It's really bad.
Is it bad or is it gold? I mean, who knows? Like, look, I mean.
It's so thick.
Is it aspirational? Like, L'Oreal Paris,
Yeah, he's got to condition it.
Yeah.
His shirt is very cool, though. I do like the shirt that he's wearing.
That's true. I feel like we're really reaching, but yes, it is a nice shirt.
Trying to find something positive. The book mentions that there is a satyr in every school, which I feel like is a lot. I Googled how many middle schools are in New York City alone, and Google said that there are 700 elementary schools in just New York City. There's 700 satyrs? That seems like a lot.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
I don't either. Otherwise, I feel like when they did the final battle, it would have been way more in the favor of dead demigods. We're like, yeah, there's only 40 of us, but we do have 700 satyrs. At least.
At least, because some definitely took
come
the train
down
up.
from the Northeast schools.
Exactly.
Yeah, hop on the Northeast Regional, come on through. help us fight Kronos.
A train just full of satyrs.
It has info about satyrs as a whole, and Grover specifically mentions their favorite food. And for favorite food, it says everything, including enchiladas, jelly beans, tin cans, and especially Louis XVI furniture. Very funny. I didn't remember Grover being a particularly huge jelly bean fan. I don't remember him talking about it that much. I feel like enchiladas and tin cans are for sure go-tos. And then the Louis XVI furniture is very memorable. But I don't remember him snacking on jelly beans throughout.
I feel like they were just trying to make it relatable to kids. I'm going to be real honest.
Jelly Belly is actually a
Yeah,
low-key.
yeah, yeah.
This is actually sponsored content. There's then a guide to check if you have a satyr in your life with questions such as, do they always wear long pants? But then it instructs you, if you answered yes to 3 or more of the questions, to peek under the suspect's covers while they are sleeping to check on their feet. Kids, don't do that.
Do not do that.
That's not good.
I read that. I was like, okay, so we're just casually going to do a little bit of assault. No big deal.
Yep. Really bad.
Which I guess for demigods, considering their parents, like, things that they get up to.
Just don't do that.
Don't do it.
Do that. Like, I know it's supposed to be cute, and this is one of those like ha 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 jokes, but like, as we've questioned, I think this book is meant for kids.
Yeah.
So that would be weird to be like, well, I don't know, I'm going to look under Richie's covers at their sleepover party. Don't do that. Let Richie sleep.
And then what are you going to tell to Richie when he wakes up? Like, I just thought you might have furry legs.
The next section is called Cyclopes, and this is the first time I've ever seen this artist's rendition of Tyson. Not good. Not ideal. It is.
Not the
Yeah, it's not good. It is like, I get that he's supposed to be like a kid, but it's just like, it's very childlike and not in a good way. I don't like it at all. And then he is next to a picture of a shield, and they talk about the Tyson shield that he made for Percy. It is definitely not the Tyson shield. It reeks of image of a shield that would show up in your history textbook in 3rd grade, where it's like, here's what a shield is. Here's a royalty-free image that we got from the internet from a picture of a shield you can find in the Met, but it's just like a vague shield. It then explains that Cyclops means circle eye, which I didn't know. Fun fact, that makes sense. Cool, we've learned Greek today. Then we get into a section I really enjoyed, which was Percy's activity schedule. And it's like a whole timeline of his Monday through Friday.
2 pages.
Is big. Every day starts with breakfast, cabin inspection, and ancient Greek. Then there is some sort of chore that changes based on the day. Then there's some sort of athletic training that changes based on the day. Then there's Greek mythology. Then you have lunch, you have a different physical training, and then there's a mix of activities such as writing letters home, cabin cleanup, laundry, wood nope, that's got to be an autocorrect. It says wood shopping. That can't be right. Oh, wood shopping? Like going to the shop? Okay, cool. Great. My apologies, Apple Notes. Or firework making. Never gets brought up in the book.
No.
That's cool. Then there's dinner, and then there are competitions, such as unarmed combat, which I guess is Fight Club. And then there is archery knockout, trials of strength, capture the flag, and volleyball league. Where's the basketball league?
Come
on!
Like, you know what's not there?
Oh, the 5-on-5 basketball league of all the cabins? Come on!
Maybe is it that, like, are they all the height to play basketball? Is that the issue? It's just not popular enough?
I mean, I still played when I was 5 and I wasn't tall. You know, it's definitely not as pretty of a brand of basketball, but like they could play. I just really, they gotta get basketball more in the mix. It makes me sad. Then it says that every day ends with an hour-long campfire sing-along.
Which is long.
I love karaoke, but 1 hour of it every day for 5 days a week?
Have y'all been to
excessive.
camp? Like, do you know the campfire songs? Like, they're not an hour longs where, like, you'd have to sing so many songs.
There'd have to be a huge book.
They've got like a hymnal. They have to
the thin little pages. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's a lot. The footer of this schedule then lists all of the teachers for each of the activities. It mentions that ancient Greek and Greek mythology is taught by Chiron and Annabeth.
Right.
Are they paying her?
No.
Is she tenured? What's the deal? Very confused. It also then lists Mrs. O'Leary under dog handling, but dog handling is nowhere on the schedule.
Right.
It was not a single activity. I read it like 8 times.
I did too. I was like, where? And also like dog handling, like where does that fall? Because I was like, is that a sport or is that like a competition? Like what is dog handling? Or is it a chore? I was unclear.
And no one else uses a dog besides Percy.
Right.
Very strange. Then it goes on past the schedule. It has things about the necklaces. It has things about Percy's first quest and his first prophecy. And then we get into page 58. Who's your parent?
Who's your parent?
Who's your parent? So I have not taken this. Do you mind if I borrow the book copy here? So this is like straight up Cosmo quiz levels of who's your parent. So there's a part 1, which has 3 questions. And first you are basically like narrowing down the 12 gods into like 3 potential candidates. The first question is, what would you rather do for fun? Jump out of an airplane. Mm-hmm. I hope with a parachute. Go scuba diving, work in the garden, or gossip about who likes who at school. If you had to pick one of these, which one would you pick?
Gardening.
Okay, I would pick jump out of an airplane. Okay. I went skydiving once. It was very fun. So in that case, my first potential godly parent is Zeus, and then yours is Demeter. Mm-hmm. The second one is, what's your favorite color? Here's where it gets a little interesting. Blood red. The color of money, with an exclamation point. Purple, and black, black, and black. So obviously that one is Hades. Purple is Dionysus. The color of money, Hermes?
That's what I was thinking.
They have a lot of things about Hermes being like money centered in this, and I did not get that vibe.
No, at least not within the story.
Correct.
Yes.
And then blood red, I think, is Aries. Yes, yeah, blood red is Aries. So of those, I would have picked purple, so Dionysus.
I am apparently black, and black.
So Hades. Look, that's what Kelly would also pick, but it's because of architecture, not death. And then the third question is, what would you rather have for your birthday? An electric guitar, a tool set, a library full of books, or a hunting trip with friends?
Yeah, I'm going to go a library full of books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would either pick that one or hunting trip with friends, but we wouldn't go hunting at all. I would just like the trip with friends part.
Yeah.
I'll deal with a cabin and all, but I just don't want to hunt anything. Mm-hmm. That doesn't sound like fun. So I would have Artemis, and then you would have Athena? Yes. So now it's been brought to those like potentials. Then it is part 2. Part 2 was called The Decider. It says, read the following statements and decide which describes you. Rate them from 1 to 12, with 1 being the most like you and 12 being the least like you. Whichever god scores the highest of the 3 that were linked in part 1 is your parent. And you would think that it would be like vague statements. But these statements are very much like, hi, I'm Zeus, the god of lightning.
Would you like to be my child?
It's just wild. Here are the statements. The undersea world fascinates me and holds the key to life on this planet. Don't try to cross me or you'll regret it. I like that it kind of rhymed. Number 2, I believe that reading is one of life's greatest pleasures, as well as debating with the finest minds of the moment. Weaving is the perfect way to unwind after a hard day's work. Okay, those are related. Number 3, I don't take anything from anyone. You want to try something, punk? You'll be sorry. That one I think is the closest to like what this should actually be like. Number 4, I'm incredibly creative. I love music and writing, and my fondest wish is to shine. Again, that's a good hidden way to do Apollo. 6, I want to get ahead in the world. I plan to make a huge amount of money in the business world, and I love to travel. Hermes, apparently?
Apparently.
Number 8, I am very practical and inventive. With my toolbox, I can fix anything and make it good as new. So, Hephaestus, I think that one's, again, pretty good. Number 9, I turn heads wherever I go, and I spend whole weekends exchanging makeup tips with my girlfriends.
Okay. Because obviously, also, only somebody who identifies as a woman would feel that way.
Yeah, they could have made that one a little more neutral. 10, once a party animal, always a party animal. That's me, and I've never been known to walk past a gaming arcade. 11, I'm a homebody, but when I do go out, I like to work invisibly and under the cover of darkness. Thanks, Hades. That's super normal. You're just at the grocery store. It's like, Captain Crunch is flying off the shelves. And then number 12, I have a green thumb and can grow plants anywhere. There's nothing as pleasurable as the feel of good earth in your hands or as satisfying as providing food for the table.
So for me, I was like, okay, Samwise Gamgee.
So yeah, I guess you basically just like narrow it down to the 3, and then part 2 is just like pick your favorite god. And then that's that. So I don't know. I guess for me, I would pick... I guess Artemis, maybe?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's fine.
Which one would you do?
Look, okay, so I was stressed out when I read that. I was like, wait, but that can't be true. But I guess it is, because when I read these books when I was younger, I was like, oh, I'm obviously would be in Athena's cabin, obviously. But I'm a homebody. Like, I had to force myself to come here because, like, home's so good. I don't think I want to be under the, what does it say? A cover of...
Under the cover of darkness.
Right, I'm not trying
Invisibly and under the cover of darkness.
Obviously, I'm not doing that, but I think that's the closest. So I guess I'm Hades' child.
Yeah. I also did skip the Artemis one, which is there's nothing compared to the thrill of the chase, followed by an evening under the stars.
I think that makes total sense, especially if you said you would rather go skydiving.
Yeah, so. I'll take that. Hopefully I'm chasing like not a person, but yeah. I like the thrill of the chase of like, I don't know, a good time. And then going under the stars. Like, sure, like maybe I drove a lot to get away from light pollution and then I had a night under the stars. So we've determined our godly parents. If you're playing, you can do this now during intermission. Everyone figure out which one you would do. Mm-hmm. You just pick a god, or it's really what it is.
That's how it works. That's why people stress so much about their cabins, because they can just choose. That's obviously how it works.
Yep. Section 3 is called Gods and Spirits. You get an overview of some of the major players. Zeus, I learned, I didn't realize he was the youngest of his siblings. Mm-hmm. Also, I had a big lull to quote, he married his sister, Hera, but had many affairs with goddesses and mortals.
Again, who is this book for?
I don't know. It just goes like really quickly. We're just like, yep, incest and also adultery. Anyway, lightning. It also mentions that Zeus punishes anyone who lies and controls weather based on his mood. Poseidon, all I gotta say, his image, he's got a great shirt. He has a great shirt. Little tropical vibes, very solid. Then for Ares, he just looks like the Terminator. Very much looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The Ares picture, because in the description... In the description, it says like, or maybe it's the quote that they had from Percy, I think. Like somewhere it says like, oh yeah, handsome, I guess, but wicked. And I don't know. I don't mean to be rude, but I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Yeah, maybe if he takes off the shades, he has wonderful eyes.
Maybe so.
Now, here's something that I found interesting. For Ares, it mentions that his symbols are the spear and dogs. No mention of the boar, which in the PJO books is kind of his thing.
Right.
And then it says that he had 4 kids with Aphrodite, which I feel like, I know that he has the whole thing where, you know, she cheats on Hephaestus with him. 4 kids, like, we got to draw the line. Right. That's a lot. Then there's a quote from the book that did remind me that his sunglasses are canonically red wraparound sunglasses, which is just like such a choice. These in the image are black, but like red wraparound glasses is, what a fashion move. Athena's portrait is very interesting in this book because she's painted from behind.
For some reason.
Like
and
you do?
This is the same picture from the cover of the book.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. She's like, here, we're going to get a portrait of you, Athena. Can you turn around and then look the other way? It mentions that Athena is the daughter of Zeus and Metis, his first wife. And I was like, his first wife? I didn't know someone predated Hera, so I got to get up on my mythology. Hestia's image, way scarier than I anticipated.
This is not the vibe of Hestia that I grew up thinking about when I learned about.
I thought like sweet, charming little person. And Hestia's like, oh, the hearth, I must tend to it. Very scary vibes. Mentions under Hestia's description that Poseidon and Apollo both wanted to marry her, but she promised Zeus that she would not marry. Her sacred animals include donkeys and pigs, which I didn't know.
I didn't know that either.
Mm-hmm. Fun facts all around. Aphrodite, something I didn't know, that one of her symbols is the seashell, which feels like Poseidon to me. Mm-hmm. And then also one of her symbols is the mirror, which feels very on brand to me. Apollo, his mom is immortal. So is he technically a demigod? Very interesting.
Also, we should know at this point, they're like, no more art. No more art.
Yeah, they're like, our artist has drawn enough. Here's pictures of stuff you can find in the Met. Then for Artemis, it says that her sacred animals include the deer, which makes sense, and the snake, which I found more surprising. Mm-hmm. Dionysus mentions his sacred animal is the panther, which I guess could like lead into him having, you know, the leopard print stuff close enough. Hephaestus, they describe him as ugly, but his photo, he looks great.
He is jacked.
He's got a cool beard going on. He's working. He's sweaty. Come on.
I know this is not what this is about, but like, I just want to take a second thinking of Aphrodite. Like, let's compare. Like,
yeah, what are you doing?
What are we doing?
What are you doing?
What is this?
Step down.
Right.
Hera, it mentions that she has 4 kids with Zeus, including Elithia, the goddess of childbirth, Ares, the god of war, Hephaestus, the god of fire and crafts, and Hebe, the goddess of jeebies. Not my joke. A couple of listeners sent that one in. Shout out to the people who did. But really, Hebe is the goddess of youth. Hermes, then it mentions that Hermes is the god of thieves. And I feel like if I knew going into a book called The Lightning Thief, I might have suspected Luke earlier. I was early on the Luke suspicions, but I feel like right away I would have been like, I don't know, thief god guy. We're looking for someone who's the lightning thief.
Who might be the lightning thief. It might be, a child of a thief.
Yeah, maybe.
Or a god of thieves.
And if you're watching the movie, he will announce proudly, I am the lightning thief, which, that movie.
The best movie of our generation, you mean?
Mm-hmm,
that one?
Look, of all the movies I've seen, it was one of them. So the next segment is what we will begin the next act with, because it's really good, and that one is called Chiron's Guide to Who's Who in Greek Mythology. But before we get into Chiron's Guide to Who's Who in Greek Mythology, we are going to take a break here for, if you're here at the live show, intermission, and if you're listening to the podcast, we'll go to our mid-roll break, which will be called The Ultimate Divide, because it's partway through the episode. But let's all say goodbye to the podcast people. Goodbye. Hello and welcome to the first and final edition of The Ultimate Divide. Hi, I'm Mike Schubert. You might recognize me from the podcast. I'm here in the studio, and we've got a whole bunch of updates with the podcast, so let's get into them. I'm excited about them. First and foremost, that merch I kept saying was going to be back in stock is finally back in stock. That includes the signed Heroes of Olympus-inspired TNO posters, which are absolutely gorgeous, and it also includes more sets of the beads. The beads. All of the inscriptions on the beads are inspired by our episodes covering the first 5 books of the Riordan verse. That includes a pigeon bead, a trapdoor bead, a Rich Elizabeth Dare hairbrush bead, a juniper tree bead, and a Chiron plot armor bead. You can get the beads as well as the poster and a bunch of other cool stuff like pins and stickers and pens and digital items, all at thenewestlympian.com/merch. The other merch-ish item that is in store is the replay of the New York City live stream that we did, which covers the first 2 chapters of The Son of Neptune. So our next week's episode will be covering all of the myths in The Lost Hero, and then after that, we are going to get into The Son of Neptune. But if you don't want to wait and you want to see that episode and not just listen to it, head on over to thenewestlympian.com/Patreon. You can download it. You can get a one-time download access to it. If you're a patron, you get 20% off. And if you already bought the ticket to the original stream or the replay of the stream, I sent you an email with a download link so you can have that file forever. Also, the link that you used to watch it the first time now works again, so you can watch it with the YouTube live chat replay and everything. And if you didn't get that and you did buy a ticket, shoot an email over to thenewslympian@gmail.com and I'll make sure you get that file. I've also got a bunch of things to address about this episode in particular. One, I think this is the second time where I have said that the "you might be a redneck if" jokes are from Larry the Cable Guy. They are from Jeff Foxworthy, I believe. My apologies there. Also, this is the second episode where I didn't know what the word live meant, but this one was recorded before the second time, but I forgot what it was because it was on stage, and I will be honest, sometimes when things happen on stage, I don't really process and retain the memory of them because my brain is in so many places at once when I'm on stage, because I'm trying to make the show good and the podcast good and be a good guest for my guest. There's lots of things going through my brain when I'm doing these live shows. Also, this episode was recorded originally in late September of 2023. That's why when we get into the Q&A at the end of the episode, which is the best Q&A I think we've ever done in a TNO episode, there is a Roman Empire meme question. It was very relevant at the time we did the live show. That's why the crowd erupts in applause. Also in the Q&A, there's a time in which I'm trying to pick the bird representations of each of the main Percy Jackson characters. I goofed. I should have said that Grover was an ibis, aka a bin chicken. So that is on me. Apologies for not thinking of it in the moment. Also, at some point in this episode, I say that someone emailed me the origins of Uncle Rick. And listener Naomi sent me that email, and I did go through it. And here's the relevant portion to that quandary. From Naomi, quote, "Rick's Uncle Rick nickname originated from Brazilian fans who started calling him Tio Rick on Twitter because he's like an uncle to all of us. So, thank you, Brazil. Gracias, Brasil.
Now, speaking of live shows and all that kind of stuff, we've got 4 awesome shows coming up in December. We're going to be in Vienna, Virginia, which is very close to Washington, D.C., on December 3rd, at the same place where we recorded this one, Jam and Java. That's why in the beginning of the episode, I made a Yam and Java joke. That's the name of the venue. It's super cool. I love this place. I'm so stoked to be there again. There's a bunch of tickets sold, like over 120 already. So it's going to be a packed live house, just like this one was. This one also had similar sale numbers. So if you want to be part of a live show, head on over to thenewsolumpia.com/live and get tickets to the Vienna show. Or we've got the rescheduled Dallas show, which is now going to be on December 15th. We've got the Austin show, which is going to be on December 16th. And then I think that's it. So I don't know why I said that there were 4. There's only 3 shows coming up. My bad, everybody. I think I was still counting the Philadelphia show, which happened this past week, and it was fantastic. Thanks to everybody who came to the Doylestown show. Now, I've mentioned the Patreon a couple times, so I want to give a shout out to the folks who have joined our Patreon. Most recently, shout out to our newest Mega God tier patron, Sean Darling. Shout out to our newest Super God tier patron, Bombus Bark. Shout out to our newest God tier patrons, Erica Patronella, Bree, Marion, Bradford Baumstark, Jess of the Sand, Nora Fritsch, and Senna Niskanen. And shout out to our newest Demigod tier patrons, Nova Q, Berenice, Lolo W, Kathleen Daniels, I Don't Think You Can Do That, Banian Algazal, Veronica Woj, Marnie Allen, Josh, Daisy Earl, Simcerity, Sophie, Jillian Kozulino, Megan Chatterjee, Kyle Lutzenheiser, Nathan Hawks Farrow, and Amber Elliott. Thank you all so much for your support. May Poseidon bless you that you never leave your water bottle at your friend's house for their birthday party, and then you have to arrange a time to get your water bottle back from your friend because you really like that water bottle and it's very convenient to have around and you miss it oh so dearly. Now, if you're all caught up on the News Olympian and you're looking for some new content to consume, you are in luck because I make a whole bunch of content. I think you'll enjoy the other content that I make, and I think one of the podcasts that you're really going to enjoy that I make is a show called Potterless. It is the predecessor of sorts to the News Olympian. It is about me going through the Harry Potter content for the very first time. I started with the books, did the movies, did the spin-off stuff, then did fan-made stuff after J.K. Rowling became a terrible person publicly, but it's a fun show and it's becoming more and more of a phenomenon. At least people are talking about it more in the TNO subreddit of people listening to TNO and then going back and listening to Potterless. I even know someone who's listening to Potterless in reverse order, which I think is very, very interesting just to hear it slowly get worse. But if you want a fun predecessor where things are a little bit different because I say foul words and other things, you can go head on over and check out Potterless. A lot of the guests that you love from TNO, I first started podcasting with on Potterless. So check that out by searching for Potterless wherever you get your podcasts or by going to our website, potterlesspodcast.com. Finally, just a programming note as well. I believe I'm going to take the last Monday in November off because I think November is another one of those 5 Monday months. It's also around Thanksgiving time, so it feels like a good time to take a break as well. But that is currently the plan. But if you go to thenewsolympian.com/about, that's always where you'll know the next 4 weeks of schedule. So always just check that to see when an episode is coming out, what we're covering, etc. Now, unless you're listening on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free episodes, you're going to hear words from a few sponsors to make it feasible for me to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be read by me. You might hear one from our new sponsor, Pretty Litter, who does high-quality and informational kitty litter. And then others won't be read by me. Those are inserted locally. So if you live in Oman, don't be surprised if you hear an ad in Arabic. But once those ads are complete, we'll get back to this episode of the News Olympian.
The search for truth never ends. Introducing June's Journey, a hidden object mobile game with a captivating story. Connect with friends, explore the roaring 20s, and enjoy thrilling activities and challenges while supporting environmental causes. After 7 years, the adventure continues with our immersive travels feature. Explore distant cultures and engage in exciting experiences. There's always something new to discover. Are you ready? Download June's Journey now on Android or iOS.
Everybody have a good intermission. I missed you all so dearly. Let's continue. And here's what's fun. I didn't mention this at the top of the show because I thought it would be a fun little surprise as we get back into Act 2. The ending quarter of this book is the most wild. So things are going to get goofy. So we're going to kick this off with Chiron's Guide to Who's Who in Greek Mythology. It starts with Zeus. It warns you that you should be nice to everyone you meet because they might be Zeus in disguise. Or maybe they're going to try to have sex with you, so you should be... It goes on, and this quote is so funny. Quote, A less than stellar father figure. Zeus once tossed Hera's son Hephaestus off the top of Mount Olympus because the baby was too ugly. Yeah, not ideal.
Yeah.
Not the
Less
best
than
father.
stellar.
No, not ideal. Another important comment, though, that I have personally, if the baby's too ugly, you can't do that because sometimes, I mean, obviously for the obvious reasons, but you also cannot do that because ugly baby does not mean ugly person.
Look, sometimes babies, they come out. First of all, I would like to say newborns. I think as a rule, they all look like potatoes.
They
like,
look weird.
They look weird.
They look like old people. Like they'll have like receding hairlines. Like
like what did this baby look like? Renesmee? Like I think it's fine.
Okay, if Hephaestus looked like Renesmee,
then it's fine. You
I'll
can throw
allow
that baby.
it. But until I see photographic evidence.
And you can quote me on that.
Then it goes on to Poseidon. And then the subjects of these, it has like, description, then, now, stuff like that. So in Poseidon's now section, it says, Poseidon walks the beaches of Florida. Ooh. Occasionally stopping to chat with fishermen or take pictures for tourists. I think that's very sweet. Mm-hmm. If he's in a bad mood, he stirs up a hurricane. That is wild and irresponsible.
Yeah.
But also he clearly hates Florida. They have hurricanes all the time.
All the
time. Ares, under his now section, it says, one of those gods who could pick a fight in an empty room. I love that turn of phrase. I unironically love that. And I feel like this is a book that would be sold in like Urban Outfitters or something. But if there was one of those books of like very Southern, like complex Southern ways to insult someone, like I would love that. Like, he looks like he could pick a fight in an empty room. Well, like stuff like that. I would love a book of that. This is such a long way to say he's hot-tempered. Yeah. But I love it. A full sentence to say one word. Oh, please. His then section says, has been involved in every skirmish since Goldilocks told the three bears that their beds were a little uncomfortable. So does the story of Goldilocks
appear in the world of Percy Jackson?
It predates the Ice Age. Like, is the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears in the Old Testament? Like, how old is this story?
That's exactly my question.
It's wild. Then, under Ares, there's a huge picture of brass knuckles, which are not mentioned at all.
No.
So, a huge picture of brass knuckles. For Athena, it says, under her description, always accompanied by at least one owl, her sacred and fortunately housebroken animal. 1, never mentioned in the book. She never has an owl near her.
No.
2, housebroken bird? Does that mean the bird is like using the toilet? Is this owl pooping in a toilet? That's impressive.
Also, don't owls, they also have, I dissected in, not an owl, but like the owl pellets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
Aren't the owl pellets like their version of hairballs though? Like that's not their poop.
No idea.
Yeah. So owl pellets is like the stuff that they didn't digest that goes out, and then I guess their poop would be
It's
like
full of
the
little
other.
bones.
I
It's
don't know,
gross.
but yeah,
It's traumatizing. That's why I remember
we did
that.
owl pellets in science lab. Yep. Continuing about Athena, it says, now she sits in on lectures at American universities about military history or technology. I want to know which American universities, because I did a student talk course at Rice where I taught filmmaking for fun. Was Athena in my class? That's a class about technology. It says that she favors people who invent useful things and sometimes gives them rewards like magical gifts or advice, such as next week's lottery numbers. It's getting very interesting. This is a very fun Athena. I want this fun Athena, not grumpy,
I know.
Stay away from my daughter Athena. I like this. Dionysus, the description that they give here feels very tame in comparison to what I actually know about Dionysus, which comes from, and this will come out as a future episode or I guess podcast, I don't know when, but at some point I'm doing an episode about demigods and monsters, which is like a anthology of essays that other YA authors wrote about the Percy Jackson books. And one of them is just a deep dive into Dionysus. Dionysus is a freak, guys.
Yeah.
Now, it mentions that Dionysus stole cattle from his brother Apollo on his first day alive, but made it up to him by inventing the lyre. And I thought, how much would it suck to be the actual inventor of the lyre? And then everyone is like, no. That was invented by Dionysus.
Yeah, Dionysus.
Not you. Like, no, I made the lyre.
Yeah, with Dionysus, we know.
I made it. I'm Patroclus Lyre. I'm not a liar. I made the lyre. So everyone
Sure,
just discredits him. Then we get into a subsection, minor gods and spirits. We have the Charities, which I was not familiar with. They are the goddesses of grace and beauty. They attend to Aphrodite and Hera. Then it explains the muses and the nymphs and the winds. And then it lists the prophecy that's in the Sea of Monsters. And then we get into the gods of the sea. It mentions that Nereus is the father of the Nereids, which I didn't know. Then Proteus is listed as the son of Poseidon and herdsman of his seals, which feels like an interesting job. It mentions that Proteus could change into any animal, and he had the gift of prophecy, but could not reveal the truth unless captured. That sucks. Yeah. For Triton, it mentions that he could move entire islands, which feels irresponsible. Under minor gods, it lists Adonis. Adonis was a handsome young hunter. Aphrodite fell for his beauty and put him in a cage to be watched by Persephone until he became a man. Look, we talk about grooming. This is like the worst. Ugh. Eventually, there was a plan for him to do 4 months with Aphrodite, 4 months in the underworld, and 4 months doing whatever he wanted. But he chose with his 4 months to stay with Aphrodite. No, Stockholm Syndrome! Get out of there! Become your own person, Adonis. Then Styx, I learned, is more than just a river. Apparently, Styx was the eldest of the 3,000 daughters of Oceanus and Tethys, and apparently they got it on a lot. Styx fought against the Titans, so she was rewarded as being the goddess of the river Styx, which doesn't feel like a reward. You're the god of the very bad river that most people don't like.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, what do you gain from that? Do you just you're like, I love the dark, the dank. I loved, spooky spirits. Like, that's my vibe all year round. Like, that's the only way that's a reward.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Nyx is described, but I played Hades, a video game, so I already know everything. Section 4 is called Percy Jackson's Bestiary, and it just lists all the different monsters that he fights. One of them, for the cows, it doesn't call them red cows. It calls them cherry color cows.
I was so confused. I had to go back because I was like, I don't think that's what they're called.
Nope, I think they just called them red, but cherry color cows. Mrs. O'Leary has an image. She looks not intimidating at all. Very fluffy, very old looking, does not look agile. Does very cute, but not the vibe I get from Mrs. O'Leary. That's a very cute dog, but Mrs. O'Leary fights a dragon in the war. That doesn't feel like the vibe we get here. The Campe image conveniently stops just past her shoulders, which is right when she starts to get interesting. Very upset. The Laestrygonian giant looks terrifying, but the next page with the Manticore, way more terrifying. Get a big human face, which looks a bit too much like Hugh Grant for my liking.
Wait, what? Wait.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Really scary. Then for the Minotaur, it has a description underneath it where it says half man, half bull, and then I editorialized, all monster! And then for the Ophiuchus, it has the description, and one of the things it mentions is, the fate of the gods in Mount Olympus rests on him.
Just casually threw it in.
Super casually. For the pit scorpions, it mentions that they can jump 15 feet into the air. That's too many feet. That's a basketball hoop and a half.
That's a really good unit of measurement.
I think it's good to put it into perspective because everyone's dunking is hard. What if the scorpion could really dunk? That's way too high.
That's why they don't have basketball courts.
Because the scorpions.
Because of the scorpions.
Yeah, okay. Now I know who to blame. The Sphinx has a way too woman-looking head. Just not Egyptian Sphinx, what I'm used to. Just way too creepy. Yeah, a little scary. Typhon is also not what I envisioned, and it also feels like it's not how he was described in the book. It says, human-shaped with mottled green skin, human hands, the talons of an eagle, and scaly reptilian legs. Why did I think maybe it was just because he was underneath the mountain that had fire that I felt like he was more
Were you thinking Balrog?
I think I was. I had those vibes, but I guess when they described him, he was a big cloud of smoke and stuff. In Rachel's vision that she paints, it's a big cloud with a fist coming out of it kind of thing. And this was way more reptilian, which tracks for Greek mythology, but I didn't think tracked for his description in the books. So I found that very interesting. Then we get into section 5, the labyrinth, the first page of which is a maze that you can play. Very fun. I definitely played it with my finger when I was reading it. Then it lists the history of Alcatraz, which does have a very interesting history. I did go to Alcatraz and read all the stuff. There's way more cool stuff than they list. But one thing of note that I thought was unique was that they say one of the prisoners in the whole, like, Al Capone era was George Machine Gun Kelly. And I was like, this rapper dude, like, didn't even come up with his own name. He just, like, read a history book and was like, that guy has a cool name. I'll just be Machine Gun Kelly.
And he probably just, like, took a field trip to Alcatraz, was like, that's cool. I want to, that's cool.
If I find out that Machine Gun Kelly is from San Francisco, I will be furious, because then that's exactly what happened.
That is exactly what happened.
So then we also have an image of Geryon, which is not great.
And it doesn't even, once again, cutting off the interesting part.
Right? Give me the 3 torsos. Why does it cut off halfway through each of the extra torsos? Come on. And then there's an image of Daedalus's workshop, and it also has the solution to the maze puzzle from before, which I think is very fun.
Oh, it sure does. I didn't even notice.
I was glad that I did take the right route and I didn't accidentally cross over a barrier. Section 6 is called the Underworld. They have a map of the Underworld, and the Isles of the Blessed looks like islands where you would get marooned. They just have like 2 palm trees and a hill, and that's it. The Fields of Punishment, the people in it look way too happy. They look like they're having a good time. They are surrounded by barbed wire, but they don't look like they're having a bad time.
Yeah, especially when you look at the Fields of Asphodel. Like, by comparison, these people are having a great time. It's a party over there.
The people in the Fields of Asphodel look like they're having a way worse time.
Yeah.
The Palace of Hades looks like a haunted mansion from an intro to an old episode of Scooby Doo.
Yes.
And then there's also the Judgment Pavilion. I didn't know it was a whole pavilion, which I find very interesting. And then I'm going to need the book back again, because starting on page 124, you get a guided tour of the underworld by Nico D'Angelo. And it's unhinged. We first get a picture of Nico D'Angelo. He looks stoned out of his mind.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hi, welcome to my dad's place." Not palace, place, is what it says. "My name's Nico D'Angelo, son of Hades. Let me show you around. You met Cerberus when you came in, right? Good guard dog, yeah? No one gets past those 3 head without an official escort. This path takes you straight into the Judgment Pavilion. Ignore all the silent types we're wading through. They're dead. They can't bother you. Note the wicked black grass and trees we have here in the Fields of Asphodel. And don't miss the stunning stalactites. That's what they'll do to you if one of them breaks off the ceiling and spears you. Okay, this is the pavilion where all the newly dead have to go. And it says on the banner, they're here for judgments for Elysium and eternal damnation. Poor chumps. Cool black tent though, right? Come right on through and see what happens after they've been processed. That path to the left goes straight to the Fields of Punishment. The name says it all. That's where Dad tries out his new punishment ideas, but he says the traditional ones still work the best. The lava flows, the minefields full of exploding surprises, burning at the stake, running naked through cactus patches. You name it, we've got it here. Anyone not feeling well should sit down on this bench here and put their heads between their legs until the nausea passes. Now let's take a look where the right-hand path leads. This one should be easier for you live folks to stomach. Through those security gates is Elysium, where I guess you all want to end up one day. We have neighborhoods from way back in history. You name it, we've got it. Roman, medieval, Victorian. Check the gold and silver flowers. Better than up there, I bet. Year-round barbecues, too. Can't be bad. We're all over the place.
Yep.
He then talks about the Isles of the Blessed, and then after the Isles of the Blessed, he goes, "Now drag yourselves away, and I'll take you to Dad's palace. You haven't seen anything yet. See those black parapets on the horizon? That's where we're heading. Step on it. Those 3 bat-like creatures hovering around you are the Furies. They've been here the whole time, I guess." It's better to not get on their bad side. No one takes the path down to the right, unless you want an unscheduled visit to Tartarus, that is. Here we are at the palace. The walls are polished obsidian. You can practically see yourself in them. Notice the height of these automatic bronze gates and the intricate carvings on them? Dad's got images of pretty much all the different ways a human can die. This one here is an atom bomb exploding. There's a row of famine victims, trenches from World War I. There's nothing he's missed as far as I can see.
That's all of them.
Now this is a special underworld garden. Nothing growing here needs natural light. That's why we have mushrooms and luminous plants, which don't need... And then there's a page about Tartarus and Tantalus. I guess because they sound similar. daylight, and my dad grows precious stones rather than flowers. Goes on about that and the orchard, and then it ends with, okay, well, that just about wraps up the tour for today. Follow me back to the entrance and gift shop, where you can buy souvenirs of your visit. And don't forget, the tour is free, but you need 5 golden drachmas to buy your exit permit. This way to the return tour ferry. And that's the end of the guided tour with Nico D'Angelo. It's so strange.
It's unhinged. I just want to know what's in the gift shop. Like, do you, is the merch, like, who makes it? Is it?
Right.
I have so many questions.
So many questions. But we have to move on to section 7, the Storehouse of the Gods, which does have a picture of a Megazord from Power Rangers. Before it turns into the Megazord, so whatever the individual Zords are, I think just Zord. It has a subsection called Artifacts and Curiosities. There is Aegis with a picture of a bracelet that is certainly not the bracelet.
It's the early 2000s, Tiffany.
It's a James Avery bracelet.
It's not.
Not Thalia would not be caught dead wearing that bracelet. It then has Anaklusmos, and it mentions that it returns to Percy's pocket moments after it has left his grasp. It's a liberal use of the word moments, because sometimes it does take a little bit longer than my liking. For Ambrosia, it mentions that you can buy it on a stick at Mount Olympus. That's fun. It reminds me of those, I don't know the name of them, but I think in Japan, you can get those 3 little balls that come on a stick, and it's red, white, and green little mochi balls. It's like that, but it's ambrosia. Don't eat too much, you'll burn. Then there's an image of Riptide, the sword, that appears to be 50 feet long. It's a huge sword. It is, I counted by measuring it, it's 8 times longer than the handles on the hilt. So it feels like a comically large sword. Then it has the basketball shoes, which I was very excited about to see what brand they are, but they are vague off-brand generic basketball shoes. So they're not clearly Nike or Adidas or something like that. The invisibility cap, though, is a straight-up Yankees hat, which I found very fascinating. So I guess they got the Getty images right for Yankees. Then for Pandora's jar, it does call it Pandora's Pythos, which I thought was a very good nod to the book. For nectar, it says that it always tastes like the drinker's favorite food. And I know that's true, but I never really thought about it because we really only hear about Percy's tasting like chocolate chip cookies. And if you drank something that tastes like chocolate chip cookies, that doesn't feel too weird.
Right.
But if your favorite food, let's say you're Grover, is enchiladas, if you're drinking something that tastes like enchiladas, that feels like sensory overload.
I always thought that was, it's kind of fine for me, but what's your favorite food?
Oh, man. Oh, no. There's so many options. What is my favorite food? We could be here all day. I'll probably, let's just say tacos from Taqueria Ruby in Houston.
That sounds delicious, but would you want to drink it?
No, I wouldn't. If I'm drinking the breaded steak taco, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah. My favorite food is pickles. And in the South, it's normal to drink pickle juice, but nectar? No.
Yeah. Right. Because if you ever are having pickle juice, it's a little bit. It's a shot, like a pickleback.
Yeah,
It's not going to be a lot of pickle juice. You're not finishing the pickles and be it's like cereal after you eat it. Now time to drink the jar. Brine. So I found that a strange realization. So it lists all these important objects that show up throughout the series, like the shield and Riptide, all these other important things. The yellow duffel bags from Hermes make the cut. Absurd.
Not only make the cut, but they put a picture of a yellow duffel bag.
Yeah. Really prominent. Really, really prominent. Then there's a subsection called automata, which I had to Google to make sure it does mean various mechanical moving objects. So plural of automaton. And then it lists some mechanical things such as the Colchis Bulls, the Guardians, but then it also lists the Skeleton Warriors, which feel to me, not a machine.
No.
Also, the drawing for the Skeleton Warriors is really funny because it's just one of those skeletons straight out of a medical diagram.
Yeah.
But it's holding the mace that's the spiky ball on the end of a chain. But it is the smallest spiky ball. It is really, really tiny.
It is not at all concerning.
No. It is if you were going to tenderize a steak. It's not going to do any damage. But then it lists Talos in there, and for Talos it says destroyed by Bianca D'Angelo. And funnily enough, Bianca does not show up in this book, nor is she described as destroyed by Talos. Then we get into section 8. It's fiction.
I mean,
it's not real. Then we get into section 8, which is the compendium. And one of the sections is mortals who see through the mist. And it has Rachel Elizabeth Dare looking like she is straight out of the nightmare fuel Nickelodeon puppet show LazyTown.
yes! That is exactly what she looks like.
It's
Outfit
rough.
and all. Outfit and all.
Oh, it's really bad. It's really bad. Dr. Chase is described as having intense brown eyes, which I guess he has to because Athena always has the intense gray eyes. May Castellan, and maybe this is just supposed to be cheeky, but it says, applied for a job which seriously affected her mental health. May Castellan had it really rough. Maybe we don't make a cute joke about it. Then Paul Blofus canonically has a beard. I didn't remember this. And then it also mentions that he wears denim clothes and a leather jacket.
That I didn't remember.
Don't remember Paul Blofus being really cool. I'm sorry, Paul. I thought you were like a nerdy little bow tie guy.
Right. I definitely was getting nerdy bow tie vibes from him the whole time. And so I wrote that. I was like, does he? I thought I just misremembered.
I don't know. Then there's a section called More Characters. And then it has Pan under there, which feels like a diss to the god of the wild. I feel like he could have been in Spirits and Gods and stuff. It does say that he was the son of Hermes, which I didn't realize, which I found interesting. Hyperion is in there. He looks pretty scary, but cool, like big flames and armor and stuff. Prometheus looks very suave in his tuxedo. Morpheus, from the cover, of course, has a huge image, and he does look like a straight-up movie star. You know, it's like...
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, Jude Law as Morpheus. Like, it's very nice hair, big scowl. Like, I don't just...
Nice blue eyes.
Yeah, just like furrowed brow. She's like, Morpheus was not that big of a deal in the fifth book.
No.
But it does mention that he is a son of Hypnos, which makes sense given his whole vibe. And then the book ends with an image of the Book 5 prophecy, and that is Percy Jackson, the Ultimate Guide. We've done it. So that is that. We now do have time to do some Q&A. Sherry did come back during the break and let me know that there are a lot of questions. So, Sherry, let's get your microphone and everything set up, and I'm going to use this as a time to refill my water bottle. So, vamp, everybody, vamp!
Hey, it's Mike from the future here. Mike from the past running off stage and having to get his water bottle is the perfect time for us to put in our second break of the episode just because this is a longer one. But you're definitely going to want to stick around after these words from our sponsors because this is the greatest Q&A I think we have ever done. So many fantastic questions, including a Pride and Prejudice PJO question. It's so good. You have to listen to this Q&A. We will be back with that Q&A after some of these words from our sponsors.
Okay.
Man, have fun editing this later, Sherry.
Okay, I'm going to start with my question. On a scale of tofu from silken to extra firm, where do you place PJO characters?
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Extra firm is, I think, the worst choice. So I would say Luke.
Oh, a gasp. Oh.
I mean, extra firm? I feel like firm is good enough.
Yeah.
So I guess Luke will be extra firm. I don't know.
Grover.
Oh, he's so precious. I want to give him the softest.
Exactly. Agreed.
I would probably, I guess like, I could see Annabeth being right in the middle because she's like very versatile and good at a lot of different things.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I would think Percy would be soft because I feel like the soft tofu packages have like more water in them.
Oh, wait, that's good. Okay, yeah. I was going to say firm because he could be a little stubborn.
Ooh, that's good, yeah.
But I like yours better.
Any other thoughts of other characters? I feel like Tyson would also be on the soft one.
Yeah, definitely
just because he's so sweet.
Soft. Nico.
Is there black tofu?
I don't know. Maybe there's tofu is fermented. Never mind.
Extra fermented.
Extra fermented.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Extra.
subject of this question is, I got hit by a car while listening to the pod.
Mike Schubert is not liable for any damages there. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool.
Great.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm intrigued to see what this question is.
The question is, how often do you think about the Roman Empire?
Okay. What's fun is, and I will show my age because I think this is like a TikTok thing. I don't understand the origin of, like, I've never heard what the origin of this meme is. I've just seen the worst part of meme life, which is brands tweeting it and stuff. And like the lowest ever ones were like Spotify podcasts made like a playlist, and there were like podcasts that make us think of the Roman Empire. And I was like, what is this? Also, why did you not include me? So all I've seen is like people getting on the joke too late, so I have no idea what it is. I will say, like, I took Latin in high school, and I'm about to read the Heroes of Olympus books, so I would say a lot, I guess. What is the origin of the meme?
I don't know the origin. I also am not on TikTok.
Okay.
But I think the idea, y'all can just shout if I'm right. I think the idea is like, oh, girls spend their time thinking about this, that, and the other. What do guys spend their time thinking about? And it's like the Roman Empire.
So it's just the worst version of the, like, is he mad at me? And then, like, the guy turned in the bed.
Yeah.
That meme's way better. We don't need a second worst version of it. Okay.
This question is from Raksha. If you had to pick fun socks to embody the main characters, what would you pick?
Okay. Fun socks. Grover would have a bunch of tin cans on his favorite food. Or maybe like enchilada socks. That could be a good one. Like it's just like one, because enchiladas are kind of like tube-ish shaped enough where he could have like the whole sock just like when it looks like an enchilada. Yeah. Percy would just wear the TNO socks, which you can get at thenewsolympian.com/merch. But I feel like Trident or socks, but also Percy, I want to find out what his favorite basketball team is, but I feel like he would have socks sporting his favorite team.
Okay.
Annabeth would have either like very architecturally looking things or maybe ones that have like Greek columns going up them.
Ooh,
could
I
be
like
good.
Or just Frank Lloyd Wright's face.
Yeah, that'd be good. Tyson feels like a mismatched socks guy.
Yes.
Like just like wildly different vibes socks. He doesn't really care. Rachel. Ooh, she'd have very artsy. She'd have like ones that's like, it's like the starry night sky or like things from like various like famous paintings would be my thoughts.
Okay. This question's from Alexandra, and it's, if you had to come up with a Patreon name, what would it be?
Oh, that's good. I would probably do, I fear saying this because now people will do it. Whatever. I feel like I would pick a name that's like, looks like a normal name, but then when you say it out loud, it's like some sort of pun. So like it looks like someone's name, but then you say it all together, you're like, oh, that was a gross, like, haha, I get it. You were making it say, whatever. But I can't think of any that aren't like crude. So I'm not going to give an example, but I'm only thinking of like the ones you give us like a prank phone call or something like that. Yeah. What about you if you had to come up with a patron name?
I don't know.
Delia Galapagos, you can hear me on the News Olympian.
I don't think it'd probably have to be something punny, but like, I'm not that punny.
Okay. Look, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I have to think on it more. Maybe I'll tweet it later.
Okay, cool.
Okay, this next question's from Maddie, and it's, what do you think Dionysus would call each of you refusing to call you your actual name?
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'm trying to think also, like, is there a name you get wrong the most? Because, like, Delia, not the most common name. Like, do people,
I know
do you get, like, Delilah a lot?
Yeah, it's Delilah. Okay. It's Delilah. He'd be like, hey there, Delilah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. What would he mess up for your last name, though?
Galapagos.
Yeah. Okay. Delilah. You found your patron name.
Yeah. Delilah Galapagos, guys. Yeah.
He would probably do like, I would get like Matt instead of Mike, probably. Either that or Mark. I get Mark sometimes.
Makes sense.
Which is fine. Like, I never get mad at people if they mess it up. Like, if you've messed up Mike, like 4-letter white guy name, like, you were close enough. Yeah. Like, statistically, I have like the least memorable name aside from like Muhammad because it's so common. So like, I'm never going to get mad at someone for forgetting my first name. I will get mad at people for forgetting the C in Schubert or Schubes, especially when people reply to me on social media. at Shube17. Love the podcast, Shubs. Like, not enough. The logo has my name in it.
Yeah.
The author has my name in it.
So it's Mark Shubs.
It's I guess he would probably call me like, I'm trying to think if I've never gotten anything like wrong for Schubert. I guess but he would be saying it. Like I would say, Sherbert is like one that people think is very funny. So I guess like he would probably call me Mark Sherbert.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Mark Sherbert is what I would get.
Delilah
and then Delilah Galapagos.
This question's from an ornithologist.
Ooh.
If you could assign PJO characters a type of bird, what would they be?
A type of bird.
Do I know enough birds?
Okay, well, Percy's a pigeon, obviously.
Yes.
Luke is a seagull, obviously.
Yeah.
And Kronos is a goose because it's the only thing more evil than a seagull.
Yes.
That's locked in.
Wow. Solid.
Got those.
Yeah.
I feel like Annabeth as an owl is just like an easy kind of no-brainer one. Who would Tyson would just be like,
I was just trying to think.
such a pleasant.
Yeah.
Is there like a really big, lovable bird? Like,
Big bird?
Big bird?
Big
yeah. Cool. Yeah, I just feel like most large birds are scary. Like I am terrified of like ostriches and emus. Like they're just, I just don't, the neck's too much. It's too much. I don't trust it. What else there? Grover? A penguin? Who could be a penguin?
Wait, no, a penguin is really
cute.
good, yeah.
Yeah. Grover, is there like a goat-esque bird?
That's just like, are there goat
Or just
birds?
like a bird that's like very...
Leggy?
Maybe dodo? Oh, that's good because they're
dodo.
getting
Yeah,
extinct. That's good. Yeah. I feel like Thalia, or Nico's a raven. Nico's like very... moody,
raven,
right. Or maybe either that or he's like a crow because that feels like very Hadesian. And then like Thalia could be a raven because that feels very like Hot Topic-y to me.
Yeah. The cool kids.
Yeah.
Okay, this question is from Avery. If you could design a PJO themed Taskmaster task, what would it be?
Good question.
And then also, which PJO character would be the best and worst?
Okay, cool. I think in a live show we did who would be the best and worst at Taskmaster. I feel like we might have landed on Annabeth because she's like smart but also athletic, which I think is the good like mix in Taskmaster. If you've watched season 4, like Noel Fielding, it's like, oh my God, he's good at everything. It's not fair. Not fair. He's good at everything. As far as a task, are you familiar with Taskmaster? Okay, so it's a British panel show. It's perfect. It's all on YouTube. You can watch it. They're not paying me to say this.
It's great.
But it's a show where basically you have like usually comedians where they will get sent to a house and then they have to do just like ridiculous tasks. Some of them are physical where like they'll take a bunch of rubber ducks and put them on a fence and then put a big rope and they'll be like, you have to knock all of the ducks off the fence. You cannot cross the rope. Fastest wins go. And then someone will like use a hose to like try to hose them down, or someone will just like chuck things at the fence to make it knock over, like all that kind of stuff. But then there's also like art ones, like, you know, using a mop like as your paintbrush paint on a easel that's like 6 feet away from you, stuff like that. So there's just all these like silly tasks and people just look absurd doing it. It's the greatest television program on earth. Like you really don't need anything. If they were like, we're not doing TV anymore, it's just different taskmasters, I'd be like, cool, we're good. So if we're making a PJO one, I'm just trying to imagine.
Frankly, a lot of shenanigans at camp sound like a Taskmaster task.
Honestly, like climbing the lava thing feels very Taskmastery. I'm trying to think because like it needs to be like silly. Oh, there are like a lot of food tasks. I think it could be fun of like make the most appetizing meal for a Seder, not using any consumable food. So like only using like recyclables and compost and stuff like that. Create the most appetizing food and judged by a Seder.
How do they score it? Like could there be like scores on plating and like...
Usually in the show they just have Greg, the taskmaster, as the judge.
His name's really Greg.
He just ranks them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For some of the food ones, they'll have the taskmaster's assistant Alex eat them, and then he will describe like how bad it was. Usually, because it's usually really gross stuff. So yeah, I could see like Grover maybe telling. I feel like Mr. D has to be the taskmaster in Camp Half-Blood Taskmaster. So yeah, that would be my thought.
Amazing. I love it.
Cool.
I'll go home and watch it right now.
It's good. It's all on YouTube for free. It's fantastic. It's absolutely perfect. I would recommend to everyone watch my preferred my machete order is watch season 4, then season 5, then go back to season 1.
Okay.
Because season 4 is really good. You get Noel Fielding and Mel Gidroych. So if you've seen the Great British Bake Off, you'd be like, I know these 2 British people. And then season 5 has some just incredible stuff. And then you can go back to season 1 because they were still figuring it out in seasons 1, 2, and 3. But season 4, they truly hit their groove. Again, they're not paying me to say this, but it's a perfect television program.
The subject of this email is, my college mascot is a seagull, but don't worry, I'm pro pigeon.
Nice. Good. I approve.
And then the question is, if you could cast PJO characters as Pride and Prejudice characters, who would be who?
Oh boy.
All right.
This is my wheelhouse. Okay, hold on.
We found the question to conclude the show, which we will now spend 35 minutes on. Okay. All right.
Get comfortable, y'all. Okay.
Caroline Bingley's Luke because she's the worst.
Yes. Yep. Amazing. Wait, are we doing movie or?
I would say book, but any adaptation is
cool.
valid. And I have to watch a new adaptation because someone on Instagram messaged me that there's a Bollywood version called Bride and Prejudice.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
That I didn't know about.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so Luke, obviously, Caroline Bingley, she's the worst. Hate her.
Then who's gonna be Mr. Darcy?
Mr. Darcy?
Is it Mr. D because he starts off as such a grump and then eventually is lovable? Is it Mr. D? And not just because it's Mr. D, RC, Mr. D, but it feels like it fits.
I think this is going to depend on who is Elizabeth in.
I know.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go individually, but if we find a good pairing.
Yeah.
Okay, so who is Elizabeth?
Elizabeth is, honestly, is it Grover?
Is it Grover? Ooh. Tell me more. I was leaning towards Annabeth, but...
Yeah, okay, so I was leaning towards Annabeth, but then I was just thinking of the fun spirit of Elizabeth and how lighthearted and sunshiny she is. She's also has an acerbic wit, so that's not... Well, I don't know, sometimes Grover, but I was it could be Grover possibly.
Yeah, I feel like Elizabeth has a bit too much of sassy quip retorts that
that's
feels
fair.
Annabeth-y of all the
fair.
seaweed brain and stuff. That's why.
But then that would make... Okay, well, Percy's not Mr. Darcy. I'm so sorry.
No,
But
absolutely.
That's not happening.
Absolutely not. Let's see. We've got Jane, right?
Yeah, Jane.
Yeah, and she's just
lovely.
There but lovely.
And lovely.
Does get sick, but she's very nice.
Yeah, she's very lovely.
Very, very lovely, but just kind of there. Who's someone that's not as a diss, but maybe Beckendorf? Very nice.
Lovely.
Not around a lot, has something happen to his health.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, that's the way to put it.
And then we got to look at some of the other the suitors, the other misters, Mr. Collins.
Mr. Collins.
I want to go, and this is if we're going by movie adaptation of Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, which is just very delightful but not the smartest, I would say Tyson. But that's a very specific Mr. Collins. That's my favorite Mr. Collins.
Maybe. See, Mr. Collins is kind of he's kind of the worst.
He is kind of bad though, which is not
Tyson the worst. I know. Maybe it'd be easier if we just went through the PGO characters and we're this person is that person, and then we can regroup.
Well, especially who would be Zeus is Zeus is a really bad suitor, so we got to pick the worst dude.
Wickham.
Yeah,
he's Wickham.
So
he's
Zeus
Wickham.
could be Wickham. That makes sense. What about the other sisters?
So we have Mary.
We have Mary. Yeah.
We have Mary.
Mary.
Kitty,
so who's Mary? Who's the biggest nerd? Who's good at the pianoforte? Who stays in and
who's
reads?
Accomplished but not pretty,
desirable. Who's
the book said it, not me. Okay.
Who's I don't know. And then what? Could Lydia be Selena Beauregard?
Yeah, I was about to say Selena Beauregard.
Because she's just all about the more vapid kind of stuff.
Yeah, or maybe Kitty. Wait, no, is it Lydia or Kitty who goes with?
Lydia.
Lydia,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then
who are we missing? We've talked about Grover. We talked about
Lady Catherine.
Lady Catherine de Bourgh.
Yeah, who's just
my humble patroness.
Who's just
Demeter?
Yeah.
Oh,
Demeter.
Thank you. Yes, Sherry,
yeah.
Feel free to jump in. Clear.
Yeah.
That's
gold.
good for Lady Catherine de Bourgh. And then, God, there's so many characters in both.
Charlotte
Lucas, right?
Oh, okay. No, Charlotte Lucas has to be Okay, wait. I have to rewind because Rachel is someone.
Rachel Elizabeth there?
Yeah.
Ooh, is Rachel Lizzie?
Yeah. Yeah. I just realized that. I think she's Lizzie, you guys.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Rachel's Lizzie. And then I think
what's Charlotte Lucas's vibe in the book?
Charlotte Lucas's vibe in the book is she gets a lot of flack. Like, Lizzie disagrees with her, but Charlotte Lucas is a very practical woman.
Right.
She knows where she's at. She's very sensible.
Oh, Bianca could be.
Yeah, I think
maybe
Bianca.
Thalia though. Thalia's like. Oh. Is there someone who's like?
I like Bianca more.
Who maybe it's Mary because Thalia's like, I don't need men.
Yeah.
Mary's
Okay.
like, I don't need men.
Is Mary.
Okay.
And Bianca is
Great.
yeah.
Cool.
I think we
did any of them. Percy.
Oh, Percy.
You didn't? Okay. Yeah, that's a good
the
place
Percy
to
Jackson
end.
podcast.
Right.
So true.
Percy
So true.
Jackson. God, who would?
Is he Bingley? Like
Bingley? Yeah. You know, like good. Yeah. I mean, look, Bingley famously leaves for periods of time to go off to London and stuff. So yeah, goes out on a quest. Percy goes out on a quest. Yeah. Perfectly good.
Go.
Yeah. Great. Cool.
We did it, y'all.
We've done it. Pride and Prejudice, Percy Jackson. Now that's it's in the open domain, so you can do whatever. Pride, Prejudice, and Percy Jackson would be
perfect.
That's got to get on AO3 now and start writing.
Y'all have homework.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for coming to the show. Give yourselves a round of applause for making it out. Would not have been possible. Thank you so much. The turnout was so good, so thank you all so much. Give it up to Delia for being a fantastic guest. Give it up to Sherry for leading the Q&A, running the merch table, helping with behind-the-scenes production stuff. Really helped. And give it up to all the folks here at Jam and Java for making the whole show work. Sound, food, backstage stuff. Everything was great. It was super smooth, so thanks to all of them. Thank you all so much for coming out. I really do appreciate it. And, to close the show out, until I make my return to Vienna, Virginia, or DC, or somewhere nearby to do a show, until we cross paths again to cover maybe Heroes of Olympus or something like that. Ooh. We shall see. But until then... Thanks so much for coming out, everybody!
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Newest Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Sherry Guo. The music is by Bettina Campamontes and Brandon Grugel, and the art is by Jessica E. Boyd. If you love the podcast and you just can't get enough, there's a couple of different things you can do. First, you can go to thenewestolympian.com/Patreon. You can join the Patreon, and you can get access to a whole bunch of fun bonus content. You can also follow us on social media. We're at Newest Olympian on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. There's also a subreddit, reddit.com/r/thenewestolympian. And there's also the TNO Discord, which you get access to by joining any TNO tier on the Patreon. You can learn all about the show at thenewestolympian.com, and you can get some sweet TNO merch at thenewestolympian.com/merch. I've mentioned the Patreon, so let's give a shout out to our producer level patrons: Kelsey Gillespie, The Damn Steam Nuggets, Vicky Garcia, Frida Vikstrom, Megan Moon, Sabrina Balsiger, Polly Burge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sandra Rose, Josh Sayer, Josh Wilkie, Abby Ryan, Marco Redhouse, Sam Reeby, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Sam Koff, Rika, Ryla Matthews, Sky Mallory, Persasabeth, Aiden Parziani, Grace, Ginger Spursboy, A Cup of Solace, Bradimus Prime, Skylar Sisters, Scott Sheldon, Sophie, Natanya Page, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Bella, Percy Jack's son, Han Haley Hingleheimer Schmidt, Catherine Sloan, Jessica Phillips, Haley Mary, Jim Jam Koopy, Kit Kat Crumbs, and Andrea, not Andrea. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, just tell someone about the podcast. It really does help a lot, whether that is you reaching out to someone directly who you think might enjoy the podcast. Maybe they're a big Percy Jackson fan, maybe they've been looking for an excuse to read the books, or if you post about the show on social media, or you leave us a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using. Truly, all of these things help. I really appreciate anyone who has done it in the past, and I also appreciate anyone who will do it in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode, and I hope you tune into our next episode, where we'll be joined by Dr. Moya McTeer to break down all the myths featured in The Lost Hero. But until then, I'll see you later. Hey everyone, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mike. So recently at the Doylestown show, someone gifted me a pair of pigeon socks, and they are very soft and very pretty. I'm going to be opening them from their little container here for the ASMR Mike segment. You know, it's like the hook thing with like the cardboard and the string and stuff. So I'm going to just be like opening up the socks. Oh, wow, that was actually really easy to open, and I don't know if it made that much noise. But anyway, thank you for listening.